Good morning, first graders. Today we're working on telling time again to the half hour. So I'm going to go through each clock and I'm going to look at the hands on the analog clock up here and then write the time on the digital clock down here. Then on the bottom half, it has the digital time written and I'm going to draw the hands on the clock. So first, number 1, I'm going to start by writing the minutes on each number. So we're going to start at 12. 12 is 0 minutes. And then 1, we're going to count by 5s. So 0, 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35, 40, 45, 50, and 55. So that's when we're talking about minutes. When we're talking about hours, then we'll use the numbers that are on there. But when we're talking about minutes, then we're going to use these numbers that I wrote. If it helps you, you can write the numbers inside the clock too. So first I'm going to look at the hour hand. That's the shorter one, and it's pointing right in between the 11 and the 12. So that means my hour is 11. We're not to the 12 yet, but we're just a little past 11. So I'm going to write 11 for my hour and then my minutes. So my minute hand is the longer one right here. It's pointing to the 6. So that means it's 30 minutes past 11. 11:30 is our time. Number 2. So number 2, my hour hand is pointing in between the 6 and the 7. So my hour is 6 because we're not to 7 yet. It's a little past the 6, but we're not to the 7. So my hour is 6, and the minute hand is pointing right at the 6. So that means my minutes is 30. 30 minutes past 6. The time is 6:30. Number 3, my hour hand, the shorter one, is pointing to the 4. It's pointing right at the 4. So I know the hour is 4. And then my minute hand is pointing right at the 12. And remember, we can go back to this clock and look, how many minutes does 12 have? 0. So it's 0 minutes past 12. It's 4 o'clock. Number 4, my hour hand is pointing right in between 9 and 10. It's a little past 9, but not quite to 10. So my hour is 9. And then the minute hand is pointing right at the 6. So I know it's 30 minutes past 9. It's 9:30. Number 5, my hour hand is pointing right at the 8. So I can write 8. And my minute hand is pointing at the 12. So it's 8 o'clock. And number 6, my hour hand is pointing in between 5 and 6. It's a little bit past 5, but not quite 6 yet. So my hour will be 5. And then my minute hand is pointing right at the 6. So that's 5:30. Okay, now we're going to go to the bottom half. The digital time is written down here at the bottom, and I'm going to draw the hands on my clock. So first I'm going to start with the hour. The hour is 7. But I notice it's 7:30, so it's not exactly 7. It's a little bit past 7. So when I draw it to 7, I'm not going to draw it right there. I'm going to draw it about halfway in between the 7 and the 8. Because 7:30 is halfway in between. It's half hour. And remember, this is my shorter hand because it's the hour hand. So you want to draw it a little bit shorter than what you're going to draw your minute hand. So my minutes is 30, And I remember that 30 minutes goes at the 6. So I'm gonna draw my minute hand to the 6, and that's my longer one, so it's gonna go all the way there. So 7:30. Number 8 is 2:30. So again, when I draw it to the 2, I'm not gonna draw it right there because it's a little bit past the 2. So I'm gonna draw it about in the middle. And again, this is my shorter one because it's the hour hand. And then my minutes is 30, so I'm gonna draw it all the way to the 6. 2:30. And number 9 says 5 o'clock. Now this one is 0 minutes past 5. So I'm gonna go right to the 5. We're exactly at 5, not any past. And again, that's my hour hand, so it's a little bit shorter. And my minute hand will go to the 12 because it's 0 minutes past 5. And that's the longer one, the minute hand. Okay, and number 10, now I don't have a dot here in the middle anymore, but I still know that they start in the middle. So if you need to, you can draw a dot in the middle. So my time is 6:30. It's a little bit past 6. So I'm gonna draw it about halfway in between the 6 and the 7. Because we're not quite to 7 yet, but we're past 6. And my minute hand is gonna go to the 6 because we're 30 minutes past 6. And number 11 says it's 8 o'clock. So my hour hand is gonna go right to the 8. But it's gonna be a little bit shorter because it's the hour hand. And then my minute hand will go to the 12 because we're 0 minutes past 8. And it will go all the way there because it's the longer one, the minute hand. Number 12 says 4 o'clock. I'm going to start in the middle and draw my hour hand right there to 4 o'clock. We're 0 minutes past 4, so it can go straight on with 4. And my minute hand is going to go to the 12. And number 13 says 5:30. So we're past 5, but not quite to 6. So it's going to go about in the middle, about right there. And then my minutes is 30. So I'm going to draw my minute hand to the 6. 5:30. Thank you, first graders. Have a good day.